Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And it's time once again
to recommend things.
Vince, what do you have to recommend today?
I have a 4-issue limited series published by Marvel under their Marvel Knights. Is that the corner? Yeah, that's the corner, Marvel Knights. And
I miss Marvel Knights.
Yeah, I do too. Marvel Knights was such a terrific thing, but not all of it.
Not all of anything, really, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, need I remind us that the Punisher was the holy warrior underneath the title of Marvel Knights. Of course, you got better underneath the title of Marvel Knights, too, so it's not fair to say that it's bad, but still. Anyway, that's Marvel Knights when Ennis took over. But this is not Ennis. This is a guy named Zeb Wells. Now, I think we've talked about Zeb Wells on here, maybe or maybe not. Maybe we just talking about his comic. But he was the guy who did the Anti-Venom limited series. I believe it was a 3-issue series, and that was really good, too. But what this is a Daredevil, Battlin Jack Murdock, and the interesting thing about these things... Now, all right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. This really follows the lead-up to the death of Daredevil's father. Now, when you read comic books that chronicleize these type of things, it's always just, boom, there's the origin, now we're going to get to the superheroics. And that's not necessarily good enough, because sometimes there needs to be an exploration of what's going on that leads up to it. We don't always need to see Daredevil front and center. Like Last Days of Krypton, we don't necessarily need Clark Kent to be the main character. We have Jor-El. And in this one, we have Jack Murdock. And this guy's a very sympathetic character. Now, they're going to address all the themes that you would expect them to address. Yes, he throws the fight, or, well, would have thrown the fight. He becomes a guy who strong-arms people for the mob. And all of that's in here. But what I like about this is that you really feel the father-son dynamic. And I'm such a sucker for father-son stories. Yeah, maybe that's corny, but yeah, I love it. I can't help it. And you see, not every moment in this guy's life with his son is perfect. You see the insecurities. You see the anger within himself being projected onto the son. But it's really well written. It's roughly drawn. And I don't mean roughly as in, I can hardly see it. I mean roughly as in, it's a very...
It's doodles. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think Walt Disney at some point sketched these on a napkin. Sketched, because that's a new word. But this stuff is very raw. This stuff, while refined, it's very painful to look at. Because even the drama in this book is painful to look at. Now, that's what I think is interesting about this. This isn't just an action story, even though it begins at the beginning of the fight and ends at the end of the fight. And we're just going in flashbacks through this guy's life. That's a risky endeavor,
yeah,
but it works here.
Wow.
And maybe it's a little corny, but as I said, father and son stories, I like them. I can't help it. But this stuff is just wonderful. It's what you would expect it to be and more so. So if you don't mind reading about what you already know is going to happen, which I think Zeb Wells compensates here for that, you can enjoy the ride and you can get into the character's psyche and not so much for the plot.
I know I get on about titles sometimes, but I do think that they probably could have gotten away with not having Daredevil in the title.
Yeah.
And people probably would have still bought it and known what it was about. Because I don't think people would have bought it on Daredevil alone. And considering Daredevil's not really... He never becomes Daredevil in the series, right? I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm just saying, like, it's not about Daredevil. It's about his dad. So Daredevil shouldn't be in the title.
You know, that's the thing.
But I'm just saying.
And the funny thing is...
Although I suppose anytime they do it... I'm sorry. I suppose anytime they do a thing where it's like a Batman continuity, but then Bruce Wayne isn't there very much, they still call it Batman, da-da-da-da-da-da. So, I suppose it's not that big of a deal. I was just a little bit surprised by it because I didn't realize it was going to be just the backstory and not actual Daredevil.
I mean, you have a point because Murdock is in the title, and if you're looking at Marvel Knights, Marvel Comics, Battlin Jack Murdock, you're going to know who it is.
Are your sales really going to drop because Daredevil's not in the title?
You're going to go, oh, Marvel Knights, therefore it has something to do with Spider-Man, the Punisher, or Daredevil.
Not that hurts your recommendation. It was just a side note I thought I'd bring up.
Yeah, and just to say this, despite the fact that it does say Daredevil in the title, I saw these sitting in a comic book shop, Astro Kitty in Lawrence, Kansas, great place, and They were all 4 on the shelf, and I just impulse bought them. I never do that, but something told me I should buy these.
You never do that. I mean, you know me, I buy it based on covers sometimes, but...
And I slightly did.
You don't very often at all.
Because this is classy. I mean, look at this. You have these borders and things protruding outside of the borders. And they're so interesting. You can see rays. You can see... It's fantastic. These covers are great.
It's fantastic.
It's phantasmic, as one of my friends says.
I know that guy.
I think I do too.
Today I'm gonna. This is a weird pick. I'm gonna recommend a role-playing book called Toon, and let's see what the date is on this. I'm sure it came out in the '90s, but I was my uncle gave me this. Okay, it was first published in '84, and this version is '91, so it's been around a while. I had, which it kind of explains actually how my uncle knew about it, because he probably used this when he was like in his teens. I have an uncle who gave me this for my birthday years ago, and it's fun because I wasn't into role-playing games, and I'm still not really. What I really enjoyed about this is that it's pretty simple, so if you're not really that big of a role-playing person, it's pretty easy to pick up and play. The system is simple, still with dice rolls and stuff, but you get to roll dice for really fun stuff, because it's all based on, like, cartoon physics. So like you roll to see if you can like run off a cliff and not notice that you're off a cliff, so you can stand off the edge of the cliff, and things like, you know, you fall and you splat but you don't die. And like, you can't die in this because you're a cartoon, so anything that happens to you, you lose points and stuff, and you go all the way down, but like you can't ever actually completely die because you're a cartoon. And it's fun, it's inventive, there's a lot of fun stuff in it, so I quite enjoyed it.
The interesting thing is that you pretty much take all story that you would develop throughout a campaign and toss it out the window for just having a good time.
That's right.
However, I would submit that most people just put people into battle situations in regular role-playing games and don't actually develop any kind of a story.
Well, you can still develop a story in this. It's just a cartoon world kind of story, you know. And so
you can imagine what you would come up with that you could actually play.
Well, I don't know. What I liked about it though, and I guess sometimes I have not the longest attention span ever, but I kind of what I enjoyed about it is that I didn't have to commit weeks and weeks on end to a campaign. You can write an hour or two story with this with several people and be done. And because, like you said, you're not going to have a real long, extensive story with this thing. One thing I also found fun is when I was playing, I didn't play it a lot, but when I was playing it, I made a bunch of, actually my uncle made these, and then I made some for Powerpuff Girls, so he made a bunch of, like, tick characters. So he took the character sheet, and then he kind of tried to figure out what all the hit points and the extra powers and things would be for characters in the tick. So we have the tick, and
you know it's the tick because it has a picture on it,
and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun. So you can take, you know, existing characters and play, and of course you can do that in any role-playing game. But that was the thing that really appealed to me for this. And he did it with like a bunch of the characters from the cartoon show. And then I made some for like Space Ghost characters. So I made one for Space Ghost and Zorak and people like that.
I like Zorak.
And so I threw like Space Ghost and Zorak and Brak in like a Powerpuff game, and I don't know, it was fun. So anyway, I don't know if this is still around. I don't know if you can get it. I'm sure you can jump on Amazon. I haven't looked, but anyway, that's
Turns out it's a collector's item, $11 billion.
That's my bizarre recommendation for this week. Vince, I'm looking forward to reading this.
I think it's fantastic.
And we should play this, because it's silly.
We should also play Marvel Universe Roleplaying.
I would really like to play that, yeah.
Interesting side note.
Yes, sir.
I did a campaign of Marvel Universe Role-Playing game. I've never actually played the game. I've only ever run the game.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple times, one in particular that I recall, I did it off the cuff. I just made up stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Did it work?
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And the players had a good time, and that was the important part.
We got to get some folks together. Well, thanks a lot for watching us recommend stuff. We'll recommend something for you once again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I am Vince.
Thanks a lot for watching.